Just take us through who possibly could be accused of, or rather could claim responsibility for this blast.
I mean, let's start with one big caveat. We're not sure yet, what was behind this blast. It does fit into the pattern of terrorist attacks in Turkey and in the region in recent months. And if in fact it was a terrorist attack, a few names bubble up to the surface. First and foremost, of course, Islamic State. It has a presence in Syria. It is rather angry these days with Turkey for allowing U.S. and other coalition jets to bomb ISIS sites inside Syria and Iraq from air bases in Turkey. And then beyond that, you have a few hardline leftist groups, including one that just last month claimed responsibility for an attack on Istanbul's second airport, Sabiha Gökçen, a mortar attack that injured one airport person. This was a very strange and unusual incident, but it showed a stepped-up aggressiveness on the part of these hardline leftist groups that have been at odds with the Turkish government for years. And of course, there's various, Turkey right now is again in its on and off war with the PKK and its various offshoots. That war has flared up again tremendously in the last few months. And there is the possibility that, as a correspondent before was saying, this was meant as the kind of attack that has been taking place in the southeast of Turkey, but in Istanbul against security forces, and civilians were in the way, or it was a sort of message from some of the more hardline Kurdish factions that, look, you brought the war to us in the southeast, in our home, we're going to bring the war to you. Again, this is all just sort of speculation, but I'm sure that these are the theories that Turkish security forces are working on right now as they investigate this attack, or this explosion, rather.
Yes, and again, let's just stress to the viewer that this is mere speculation at this point, because obviously nobody has come forward and claimed responsibility. But the thing is that this blast comes at a time of where there's been quite a crackdown, if you like, by authorities, a security crackdown. The situation in Istanbul and in other parts of the country has been rather tense, especially in the wake of last year's bombings in Ankara and in southern Turkey. Borzou?
Yeah, absolutely. There's immense tension at this point. There's immense precautions taken. You should have seen on New Year's Eve, I was walking around Istanbul, central Istanbul, along Istiklal Street, this famous pedestrian walkway, and every single corner there was police, gendarme based there watching people as they enter shopping malls right now. Every time you go into a shopping mall, you have to pass through metal detector. Entering the metro stations, there's security forces stationed there, keeping an eye on people. Immense levels of security. Many people have been expecting some kind of an attack. Not that this one was that attack, but many people were expecting some kind of attack. And are still expecting more attacks on tourist centers, given the precarious state that Turkey is in.
And another thing too, Borzou, is the location of this morning's blast. I mean, the fact that it happened in Sultan Ahmet, close to the Hagia Sophia Museum, close to the Blue Mosque. These are two very iconic sites, aren't they?
This is the heart of Turkish history, recent history. It is the heart of the tourism industry in this country. These are the sort of iconic landmarks that define Turkey right now and are the major draws for tourists, including and especially foreign tourists.
Now, we're also hearing that the Prime Minister is holding an emergency security cabinet meeting. What do you think will be the government's response to today's bombing?
I mean, I don't see what they can do. We're not sure if it's a bombing, but we're not sure exactly what they can do at this point. Already, security forces are tightened. Maybe there'll be even more checkpoints, even more searches of pedestrians and so on. But if someone is determined to go into a square, if they're so dedicated to their cause, however twisted it might be, and we're not saying that this is what happened, but if someone is so dedicated to their cause that they're willing to do something like this in a crowd of unarmed civilians, there's not a lot you can do to stop them. Istanbul is a pedestrian city. Lots of people everywhere, lots of huge crowds everywhere. I know that foreign embassies have begun already in recent weeks and months to advise their personnel to avoid large crowds for fear of just this sort of event happening.